the analogy that I like to say is like, you're paying for pitches. And if I'm a baseball player, I want to see as many pitches as I possibly can. But I also recognize that not all pitches are going to be meatballs right down the middle at like 60 miles an hour. It's going to be some in the dirt. Some are going to buzz the tower. Some are going to be outside. Some are going to be way over my head. But I need to see as many pitches as I possibly can. And so that's what I'm doing with paid marketing.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks.
Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple, Sherman, Blake. And today our special guest is Joshua Martin. Some of you guys may know Josh, some of you guys may not, but he's a new member on the Lasso team, longtime friends, right? Longtime friends. So I'm excited to sort of chat about this and a lot of the cool things we have going on. But Josh, first, thanks for taking the time out for the podcast, but more importantly, welcome to the team, buddy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Didn't we have Josh on a while ago?
We did.
Time? Oh, okay.
It's my second time. Yeah, it must have been. It must have been a good episode. If I'm back, actually, if I'm back and I'm on the team, it was that good.
Got promoted.
Josh. So let's just start off, just in case someone hasn't listened to the first episode, they don't know anything about you. Let's give them a quick little synopsis, background on you, and then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, number one, thank you for having me back, and thanks for having me on the team. It's wonderful to be here. It's been wonderful to know you guys for as many years as I have, and I'm super grateful to be here. So, let's see. I have been a coach like in the health and fitness and performance space. Let's see, this is 2025, so 23 years now. And then in that time, I opened a gym down here in Florida, just outside of Tampa, and owned my gym for 13 years. And I have been a business mentor for specifically, mostly gym owners this will be my 9th year this year. And so that's kind of the background and the experience that I bring to the Lasso team. And but personally, outside of that, married. My wife and I are celebrating 17 years of marriage this year. And we have 2 lovely kids. We homeschool. We love Jesus. And I'm a huge car enthusiast.
Oh, man. It feels like you're sort of copying off me, homeschool. How long have you been homeschooling?
This is our 5th year, actually, homeschooling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is for us. I think it's about 8. But I love homeschooling. That's first and foremost.
If you take nothing else away from this podcast, just start homeschooling.
Correct. I'm all for it. And Josh, I can't believe it, but this year I'll have been married 20 years. Like, I'm too young and good looking to have been married 20 years, but I'll take it though.
I think what we need to celebrate is Christina for having put up with you for that long.
Look, we've been married for 20, and then we dated 4 years before that. So she's been around for a long time. So yeah, man, let's sort of jump into it. I'm gonna let Blake start us off, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah. So I think, Josh, what I was thinking about before this episode is coming on, you have decades of mentor experience, and then really switching from mentoring to like a paid marketing company. And granted, like, we find ourselves, all of everybody on the team of Lasso is a gym owner or has been, so they have in a successful gym owner that. So we do fall into the mentoring a lot. But I would say, what have you noticed that is different in just the gym owner's mentality or the coaching style? Because a lot of times we're not coming in at the very beginning and like building systems, processes, and all that. We're really, exemplifying everything they've already done and getting it out there and, putting fuel to the fire, as I like to say, of getting people in the door. So yeah, just like what has been your experience in, in that whole process, like good, bad, ugly, amazing, whatever.
Yeah, man. So one of the things that really stood out to me from the get-go is that, no surprise, the people that have good systems and processes like in place, when you pour gasoline on the fire that's already there, no matter how big or small, right? It could be a gym that's doing 10,000, it could be a gym that's doing 40,000, but when these gyms have systems and processes set in place and the owners trust that, everything else just gets amplified in a very, very good way whenever you add paid marketing on top of that. And truth be told, man, it was an area that I was not super, super familiar with just in my, my prior experience in terms of really understanding the impact, the positive impact that paid marketing can have to directly to somebody's bottom line. So that was like a big kind of like aha moment for me. But really, there's no surprise here that in past gym owner mentorship, and current work that I get to do with you guys is I used to tell people this, and even as a coach, if you just do the work, the results will follow. Like, period. So, and what I mean by that is like, we have a playbook for people to follow. It's like, do this, do this, do this. The second that they try to go in there and customize things or change it up or, well, no, this isn't going to work for me, or skip steps, or this isn't for me, that's when we see the problems. And we've all worked with people in the health and fitness space. It's the same thing. As soon as they start to make changes to the program that you have written that is going to work because you've seen it repeated time after time after time, as soon as they start to change those things, irregardless or regardless of people being individuals and different, the basics still work. So if you just work the basics, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, I think, I wrote down 2 notes here and I have a question for you. I think one thing that you said there, and Sherman said it on the last episode with Tommy, was that like from a consumer's perspective, they don't really know the difference between F45, Orange Theory, and all these other places, right? They don't know the methodology behind that happens inside the doors. So like everybody thinks they're this unique unicorn, right? And like, but really you're not. I don't know where Sherman just went, but the gym owner isn't. And you think that you need all this custom copy and all these things, but what you really just need to do, and I think going back to either Chris or Matt said this on a podcast, you just need to have more conversations.
Yeah.
You just need to have the chance to have more conversations. And the way to do that is not be so unique, right? So like I heard this Donald Miller, I was watching one of his things the other day. Like if you go to pick up a hitchhiker, you don't say, hey, this is like all about me. You say, where are you going? Right? It gets very direct. You say, this is the problem we solve. Are you struggling with XYZ? We help you with that. But if you get into like, oh, we're this special unicorn that does XYZ, and then you just confuse them and they have no idea of what's going on whatsoever. So I think that's a big thing. And I mean, welcome to add to that at all.
Yeah, man. I think that's such an important learning for so many owners. Like a big thing that I see in the space related to this is this whole concept of like brand and brand awareness. And I think I might have heard you say this, that like Coca-Cola is a brand, Nike is a brand. My gym, I'm humble enough to say, like, my gym was not a brand. It was a fixture within my community, but like in terms of like when we all think of brand, that's not it. And so trying to your point, get super, super niche with every little thing is only going to do you more harm than good. But a lot of people that have become brands and become very successful then get to the point where they become a brand, and then they sell this to everybody else, forgetting what they actually did to get to where they are, which is all of the basic, boring things, picking up the phone, trying to have as many conversations with as many people who may or may not be unqualified as humanly possible, because conversations lead to conversions.
Yeah. And, like brand is the way it makes you feel when you see it, right? Like Red Bull, like adventurous, like outdoors, but that brand is through the messaging. Like, branding, you don't even have to say words and people know. Like you watch like Yeti commercial. I know I'm going to be outdoorsy. I know I'm going to be adventurous. I know it's going to have to do probably with, some mountains or something like that, right? But your messaging and your awareness is what gets out to people to bring them in the door.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, and we haven't talked about this all. What makes, just coming into Lasso and like your mentoring on the background, what makes a good gym owner? Like what mentality and either characteristics or character traits do they have to have?
Man, I wish I would have prepped for this one.
On the spot.
I think that it is not the same things that make somebody a great coach in their business. And I was just as guilty of this as anybody else has been. But, somebody that is super, super passionate, gifted in their coaching practice, the longer that they try to hold on to that and like being in the business and, is it Michael Gerber that talks about working in the business versus on the business?
Yeah.
The longer that you focus in on that, working in the business, the worse off you're going to be as a business owner. You really need to have a 30,000 foot view and understand like what's going on with the business and where the business is going versus, being there, coaching the class, cleaning, scrubbing this, doing that. But I would say that it does come with a bit of a caveat. And I think you and I, and maybe a couple of the others on the team have talked about this. I think a lot of times people hire too quickly. So there is a period in your business ownership career where you're going to be doing way more than you think you should be doing until you get to like this critical mass where now it makes sense for you to hire somebody that can deliver the service. And I remember before I even came on at Lasso, you guys were telling me like in the early days, as the company was growing, who was doing all of the service delivery of the calls? It was you guys. So you had to run the business, work on growing it, selling it, marketing the service, but then you also had to deliver on it. And it wasn't until you guys really got to this critical point, you're comfortable with what you're making, and then you can think about bringing somebody else on because now you actually know where you're going to be leveraging your time to continue growing the business.
Yeah, I think one thing,
I don't know if that was a good answer, but that's where my head.
And I think one thing too is like, we've kind of laid it out like within Lasso lately, like $0 to $15,000 gyms. Like you just need to be hustling.
Yeah.
You need to like.
It needs to just be you.
You don't need a GM.
Yeah, the first thing
you're doing
you need
less
to
than
do.
15 grand. I'm here to tell you. Someone else might not tell you that. You're doing less than 15 grand. You don't need a plethora of coaches and a GM.
Well, most gyms don't need a GM, but you need to. The first thing I think gyms do wrong is get their pricing wrong, which just sets them up for horrible failure down the road, right? Because like I just saw somebody post in a group like, "Hey, I am about to hit 200 members," and then somebody was like, "That's great, but how much revenue are you making?" Because you could have 200 members, but charging them $85, and you're like, you'd rather have 100 members charging them $150, right? So aligning that, and then you just really like, you're not going to have it all figured out, right? Because you're a one-man show. There's not going to have tons of systems and processes. Like you should be detailing everything that you do. So when you do hand it off, they know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And then once you get to 15 to 30, then it's really, let's start hiring, let's dial in the systems and processes, let's do all that, and then amplify your message. And then once you hit 30, it's like, okay, you really have proven that you've dialed this in. Now we need some high level coaching, right? And being in the room. So one thing I was thinking of while you're talking is I see the best gym owners that work with Lasso are humble. They know they're not the smartest person in the room. They're like, I'm not the professional in this. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You just do it, and I'm going to sign them up, right? And they also are just ones that they're not super. I think the best gym owners too are not super micromanagers.
Nope.
And because if you micromanage everything, you're basically still a one-man show, just like being the puppeteer, and just managing everybody at the same time and not letting anybody mess up or giving them autonomy to actually do anything on their own.
Yes.
So I think that's, the biggest thing I see, that our best gym owners are ones that like, I don't want to do this. I know you're the professional. You just get me people in, I'll sign them up. And that's it. The ones that get all tied up about like, well, it's not my image. And then they go to their image and it costs them $60 for a lead and all that stuff. And then they just revert back or get hung up on copy. They're the ones that actually, I would say this, they want to speak to themselves and not their clients.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I think the thing that really helped me understand what we're doing here in terms of like paid marketing. I've shared this analogy and I feel like it's starting to spread, at least amongst our group, is, well, I don't know about Sherman, but Blake, I know you and I are baseball fans. And so the analogy that I like to say is like, you're paying for pitches. And if I'm a baseball player, I want to see as many pitches as I possibly can. But I also recognize that not all pitches are going to be meatballs right down the middle at like 60 miles an hour. It's going to be some in the dirt. Some are going to buzz the tower. Some are going to be outside. Some are going to be way over my head. But I need to see as many pitches as I possibly can. And so that's what I'm doing with paid marketing. And frankly, like if that doesn't sound good to you, if you don't want to be having all those conversations, then deep down, you need to do some discovery work on, do you actually want to serve as many people as you say that you do? Because
or
if you
do
did,
have a business.
Yeah, because if you really truly did, you'd be picking up the phone as quick and as often as you could.
That would be like saying I'm a car salesman and I want to sell 100% of people come in. I don't want to talk to anybody else that comes in.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm only going to talk to people that are ready to buy. Like that's not.
That are holding the check as they walk in.
Yeah, that's not real. That's not real life, right?
Yeah.
It's like they have 6 different dealerships to go to, and I would add on to it, humble and just not super emotional about things, right? Like they just don't get so caught up in we were talking about somebody before this. One of the best advice I got from the same guy that you're mentioning was, at some point, everybody's going to leave your gym. Yeah. And so just don't worry about it. Like everybody's going to go somewhere else. It's not this thing like this attack on you. Just realize that. And it's the same thing when we had a personal trainer. Who was the guy on Sherman that owned that personal training studio that we chatted with?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember his name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyways, he was like, if we make 100 phone calls and get 2 to sign up, that's a huge win. So you have to be okay with, and we just signed, actually, we'll probably have this girl on a podcast at some point. She makes 114 phone calls a day to leads, 100 and some. And so it's all about just the numbers. And, I know this is our Lasso, but I heard Hermosi say that like people would be like, oh, you just get such better qualified leads. He's like, no, I just call them 10 times more than you do.
Yep.
I just put in the effort. And I think that's the thing with gym owners, is just not grinding and putting in the effort. And then once you get to 100K, okay, hire it all off, have somebody else do it for you. But until you get to a point that you're above 30K, you got to just put in the work.
Yep. Something that you were saying earlier, I wanted to make sure that we touched on when you were talking about, there was the conversation around brand and like niching down and everything. Something else that I have certainly noticed, and not just now, but also previous experience working with gym owners is, if you're trying to be everything to everyone, you're going to run into trouble. Meaning if I'm a micro gym and I want to work with the 40-year-old, but also the competitive athlete at 20, and then also kids, and then also the 70-year-old legends program. And then also, you get my point of like, I want everybody. I'm not saying that can't be successful, but that is a really, really long, difficult road versus if you're like, I'm for the 40-year-old mom who just had birth in the last year. Yes, you just took your pool of possibilities way, way, way down, but you're going to speak so clearly to that group that you're going to be the answer to their problem because you're very specific about it. And I think that that's something that I've seen from the work that we've done, with our gym owners here at Lasso, is just get them to be very, very specific on who they serve.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's hard.
I think that's one of the things that we've had to figure out at Lasso, right? Like, who do we really want to serve, right? Like, and I say that, we serve the clients that want steady growth long term, right? So if you're looking for 30 clients in 22 days, like, we're not your guys, right? Like that's okay. But sort of like you're saying, Josh, if you're just throwing everything out there and taking anyone back, it is only going to be harder and more headaches long term. So definitely having that clear vision about who you really want to serve, that goes a long way for these gym owners. And I think, Blake was sort of talking about earlier, people are sort of emotional at times. And I think that's really because of the educational piece, right? So many people have done marketing before, right? And I think the marketing overall that was done before, it was sort of like the scorched earth method, where while it's going, it may be hot and stuff like that, but then when it dies out, it just leaves behind, you're burnt out, your members are burnt out, those people that did it, they're tired, but hey, we got to burn it again. We got to do all this over. We got to get some more people in here for this program. And I think most people really don't love that. So that's one of the things we tried to do here at Lasso, is just explain, hey, like, we're sort of your long-term strategic growth partners. We're not gonna, we're not here to necessarily double your business in 30 days. Like, we don't even make those type of claims.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that really ties into, another thing, Blake, to your earlier question of like, what have I seen that makes a gym owner be successful, is Sherman, when you're saying, long-term, sustainable growth, if anyone else is like me, that sounds super boring. Like, it's like, what do you mean? I'm not going to double my business in like the next 6 months, or, but these other guys are promising, these returns in this amount of time. But the successful ones, what they do? They fall in love with boredom. Like so if I know that I'm doing something that is getting me a great return, and maybe Blake, you can tell this story better than I can, but if I know that I'm doing something that is going to get a really, really good return, the question that I should be asking is, how do I do more of that? Not how do I potentially cut that expense and just hope and pray and search for the next shiny object that may get me a better return, instead of maybe I just do more of what's already been working really, really well.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point. Like, we talk to gym owners that like grow like 60% in 1 year, which is like a 10% growth is amazing. You grow 60%, and I think it just goes down to like business IQ. And you're like, that is amazing. I'm like, yeah, I need to stop marketing. And we're like, hold on. You just grew 60% and you need to stop doing the one thing? No, like, stop changing and chasing the shiny object. Instead, do one more thing. Like for Lasso, right? Like, we're like, hey, we need to keep doing everything that got us here, but now we need to do more in person, like conferences, and get in front of more people and do in person. We don't need to stop doing what's got us here. We need to do more of it. Like, it's not the, and I guess it really, you think about it, right? Like, gym owners, it's like that cool new equipment, the cool GHD. It's always been like, what am I going to add to my gym? I got to get this new equipment on, all these people are going to show up. No, it's doing the mundane, simple task over, and over that got you where you are, that's going to keep getting you where you are. It's just, you need to do more of it more often, right? Because to get you to X, then you have to double that to get to more. And so I think that's a big thing that gym owners get caught up in, is just, they look so much at a month and not a year. They have a hard time taking a step back and saying, okay, yeah, I had 2 bad months, but let me look at the year. I'm up $12,000 per month. Now, granted, maybe I slipped $2K this month, but I'm still up. And then look at the trends and then go back. Like, we know that for Lasso, what quarters are good, what quarters aren't. And then we need to know where to push and where to push even harder, right?
Yep.
And know your retention. Like, it just all comes down to data, you guys. And like, if you're not somebody that loves data, you need to find somebody on your team that does love data, because that's going to direct what direction you need to go and how fast you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, the data is, whether you love it or not, it's still something that just needs to be looked at, right? Like, no one that at least personally that I know of, nobody loves cleaning their bathrooms, but it's got to get done, whether that's you doing it or you have the money to pay for it. So it's part of the necessary piece of it, you know. But something that you did say about, you know, getting new clients and, you know, looking out at the long term, this does tie into something that I did want to mention that you were asking at the very beginning, like what have I noticed so far, you know, at my short time with Lasso up to this point. And I hope that this doesn't make anybody mad, but I'm noticing that a lot of people just don't understand how clients find you and sign up. And this can sound like a very self-serving narrative, right? Like, we're a company that does paid marketing, so everyone's waiting for me to say, well, of course, it's all from paid marketing. But I also live in the real world, and I'm a consumer of products just like we all are. And so I'm not somebody who sees an ad for something and just clicks on the ad and goes right to buy. And most, if you just dig into like the psychology of the buyer of whatever good or service you're looking at, most people don't operate that way. They might click it, but then what they're going to do is they're going to close out of that. I'm going to then go to Google and I'm going to type in, this is the problem that I'm having. Maybe I type in that company that I saw and see what people are saying about it. Maybe I make a post about it and I've got a friend that uses this thing. And now it becomes more and more likely that I'm going to make the choice for this product. So while I can't attribute it directly to this ad, the ad did play a role. And so what I mean by, you know, people don't understand where their clients actually come from. We've all heard this, and I've heard it in 9 years of being a business owner, is that, they were all referrals, or they are all people that just walked in off the street. It has nothing to do with any marketing that I've done, whether it's paid marketing with us, whether it's paid marketing with somebody else, or any kind of marketing. It's paid marketing is just one piece of the puzzle, like a rising tide that lifts all boats. And so it will just, you know, amplify whatever you've already got going on. And so could they have been a referral? Sure, they could have been a referral that also saw an ad and then also did some digging on their own and then walked in and said, oh yeah, I know Johnny. And so I'm attributing it to the referral, but I don't see the bigger picture. And going back to your point about data, now what we're seeing, and you're starting to share a lot more of, is what happens to gyms that had a faucet of leads coming in, clients signing up, that then turned off that faucet, i.e. stopped their paid marketing, and now seeing what are their leads and signups look like, it falls off a cliff. Now, of course, tongue in cheek, what I'm saying in the background is like, well, I guess your clients stopped referring people to you. It's like, well, no, it's just the gasoline that you had on the fire that you already had going is just being lessened.
Yeah, for sure. I think we see at least 30 to 60% drop off, like minimum of leads, which then it just boggles my mind. It's not like when you run ads, all of a sudden your organic website just starts getting double the amount of website traffic. Like it's just not the case. And I think that's the importance of having everything working together. And like I'm talking about with the Lasso clients today, is just that halo effect of making sure you're posting every day. And like your posts don't have to be like, and I heard this the other day, like you actually don't want to be the most amazing, you know, social media person, because if you go viral in a community that's US based, right? Then you're dealing with, you just got to be known in your community, right? Like that's why, like, and I would say on top of it, marketing's so important, because our gyms are getting, not our gyms as a whole, outside of franchises, are getting crushed by franchises because they're spending so much money, and we're wondering why Orange Theory has 400 members, because they're spending $5,000 a month and getting in front of the people, and you're stuck wondering why you can't get new clients. And when you run paid marketing, it is going to drive traffic. Not even drive traffic, it's going to bring awareness across the board to everything. That's why everything you need to be posting daily. You need to have a website that's frictionless, and you need to stay in front of people constantly, even the bad ones, because it takes 8 to 10 touch points for somebody to actually opt into something. So,
can I ask, I know you guys have me on as a guest, but can I ask you a question, Blake? So something that you said actually really reframed things for me. You know, in my work with gym owners over the years, one of the things that I would always tell them is like, hey, we need to hold off on doing some paid marketing for whatever reason. You know, we need to get systems and processes set up, or we need to do some other things. But we were having a conversation, I don't know if you'll remember it, so maybe this will jog your memory, about a month ago, and you said something to the effect of, we need these people to stress test the systems that they have, and paid marketing is a really, really effective tool to do that. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, why you said that and what it means to you? Because once I thought about it, it made perfect sense to me, and especially with this specific instance we were talking about. But maybe if for a gym owner like me that's like, no, I need to do these other things first, so I'm not ready for paid marketing.
Yeah, and I've heard it a lot before that, like, and we've created something for gyms under doing 15K that we've kind of just started putting out. But, it's kind of like when you get to a high level of like gym ownership or business ownership, and you leave your business for a week, and then you realize what needs to be fixed, right? Until you do that and stress test, like, if you're only getting like 2 to 3 clients a month, that's pretty easy to onboard, and you don't know where the holes are. But when you get 10, then you're like, oh my gosh, now I know what's not working. And I know that I don't have enough time on the schedule to onboard these people. They're not having a good, transition into classes, or the coaches aren't doing a great job there. Then you can fix those before you get to the 15 to 30K. And then you're like, oh, wow, now I have a bigger issue because I have to revamp the whole system, right? And I think the other thing too is, like, we know you're going to have a leaky bucket syndrome. Like, you don't have all the systems and processes. But here's the thing. If there's no water going into the bucket, you have nothing to pour out. Like, you're going to keep, if you're just basically, like, I see it all the time, and like, it's hard if a gym owner's like really wanting to go after it, but they're like, just can't get past it. Well, the only reason they can't get past it is because they don't have enough clients coming in. And I say clients just because I don't want to say the word leads, but like, they don't have enough awareness on their business to generate the income to get to that point. And there's, like, don't get me wrong, like, mentoring the systems and processes, like, you need those, but you can't deny that you need leads. Leads is the fuel to any business. Like, if Lasso, we just stop getting leads, like, that's not good. Any business, that's not good. Like, if a car dealership, people stop walking in, they couldn't make any money.
Yeah, the goal is not to keep these people forever. The goal is to make them successful, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I like that.
No.
You guys have talked enough. I think I'm going to cut this one off. This has been a good episode. No, but seriously, guys, like, we touched on some key points. Again, we're at Lasso, we're trying to, basically clarify who we work with as well. Like, as we continue to grow and help more people, we want to make sure that we're helping the right gym owners with the right mindset. So if this,
so to clarify that, rather than just say we want to clarify it, we would say we want to work with gym owners that have a long-term mindset of growth, that want to listen and do things that have been proven to work without trying to be super unique, but working together and coming alongside of us and saying, hey, this is what we really feel is going to work, and help you amplify your message and then dial in your systems and processes and we're not here to change everything. We're here to tweak it and make it better.
Yeah, for sure. Like sort of similar to like one of my mentors, Donald Miller from StoryBrand says, he says, be clear, not cute. And I think too many people want to be cute. So guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we will talk with you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.